All right, so President Cyril Ramaphosa has been visiting affected areas today. eNCA senior reporter Siphamandla Goge has been following and joins us now. Sipa, thank you so much for joining us. Just an update, we are hearing that the death toll has risen. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, indeed, the death toll has risen, but the official confirmation has not been communicated right now. We tried to ask President Cyril Ramaphosa. He said it could be way above 100, but it's taking time to confirm it because all the statistics, the information, the data needs to be collated, as my colleague Bongamkize will show you behind me. It's one of the worst affected areas here. We are somewhere between Intuzuma and Inada. And these are the houses that have been affected. And I'm told that it's in Wamashu, actually, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the eNCA area, in Tlongwane, the eNCA area that comprises of Intuzuma, Inanda, Wamashu. You can see the devastation there. The road here, the bridge, basically was washed away. And all those who are on the other side are unable to cross to the other side. So it's devastation all over. The impact of this is very severe. President Cyril Ramaphosa saying this is one of the worst disasters to ever happen in KwaZulu-Natal and in South Africa as a whole. Earlier on, I spoke to the health MEC in KwaZulu-Natal, Nomagugu Simelane, who said in their mortuaries, those are government mortuaries, there are about 253 bodies. Of course, that's not the official number and the statistics that have been confirmed by the President of the Republic, but authorities will later on issue out an updated version of the statistics. But Nomagugu Simelane is saying the situation is really dire. Of course, for each and every death to be confirmed, it has to be certified by the police after the post-mortem. I did ask Nomagugu Simelane whether those bodies are related to the floods, and her words were certainly so. That is the current situation here in KwaZulu-Natal. Before we listen to what President Ramaphosa has had to say here, as Bongamkize is showing you this devastation, I've spotted one community member who's very aggrieved here. The lady is not happy at all. Mabtelis, siyabonga ngesikhathi sakho. You say uhulumeni awunakile. Nikhala ngani njengabahlali Mabtelis?
Yebo, siyabonga nathi thuba into esikhala ngayo ukuthi akekho umuntu osinakile. Njengamanje abantu bazama ukuthi abantu njengamanje bazama ukuthi baclean izindlu, which is wrong ngoba izindlu kade zisinkile. Kungenzeka umuntu ngalesikhathi engaphakathi indlu iwe bese yafa. Manje bayacleana ngoba babona ukuthi asinako umuntu, asikutholi kahle kahle usizo ngapha sitholi. Sithe mesithi emini namhlanje kuseni savuka kwathi lapha kuyabhaliswa ukubhaliselwa indaba zezindlu njengoba zilimele. Thina ngala abazilutha kuke sitholile kuke sesazi meswele sifika lapha ngaphesheya kuthiwa ihambile ilist izolo yaka disaster. Sibuza ukuthi kanjani ngoba sewadine lodwa 54 bathi bakhohliwe ingaphi siphola bakhumbula eBhambayi kodwa futhi thina mase sithi kanjani inkhohlwa kanjani ngoba mekufanele siyovota niyafika ngala kunogogo okhishwe eSemla amanzi kunobaba usikhulu lapha ya othe belapha ya ukhishwe ukuthi indlu bisiwile abantu bafelwe izindlu yabo nje asina akahle asina indawo yokuhlala. Abanye bafika bazothatha ama-ID ethu bathatha amagama ethu bahambe bangabuyi asazi ukuthi bayokwenzani. Esikwazi yoku kobuhlungu ukuthi abantu mabathatha ama-details bakwazi ukufika beclaim bathi khona abantu ababasizile bafike nezinkwa la abanye kade befike nezinkwa bathi bayabuyi kuyimanje abakabuyi asinakwa kahle kahle asina ama-ID abantu balahlekelwa amakhadi okuhola imisebenzi asinalutho into zokugqoka sibekile kodwa thina kuthiwani amatayet asinakho kodwa kuthiwa kade kufikile abantu bakasebezobhalisa thina savalelwa ngaphandle. Sazi ukuthi senzeni sicela ukuthi yena kuhulumeni niyena umphathi umongameli azongenelela sisize asitshela ukuthi sayithola noma indawo zokuhlala yini.
Well, basically the lady they're saying the most urgent help they need is the issue of shelter and accommodation because they are stranded, they are desperate, they've been displaced by these floods, saying they do not have anything. They are seeking shelter, they are seeking food and also clothing because most of the people have been heavily affected by these floods. Let's take a listen to what President Cyril Ramaphosa said about the situation in KwaZulu-Natal.
The KZN is going to be declared as a provincial area of disaster so that kungene imithetho ezasivumela so that we are able to do things quickly. The bridges have collapsed, the roads have collapsed, people have died, people are injured. So this is a catastrophe of enormous proportions. And it is for this reason that we have said, one, I should come down, and the ministers are here, and the various ministers who I've also appointed as champions of the district development model will also be working here. And this disaster obviously is part of climate change. It is telling us that climate change is serious, it is here. We no longer can postpone what we need to do, the measures we need to take to deal with climate change.
And Sipha, just in the last few minutes, there's been a communication issued by the MEC for a cooperative governance and traditional affairs in KwaZulu-Natal, saying that the death toll has in fact now risen to 259 people. And of course, the death toll is shockingly high. I think this is on record as perhaps the worst flooding, even worse than Cyclone Dimona, that we've seen in KwaZulu-Natal. But even more than that, we have to also look after the living. And that lady you just spoke to doesn't seem to have a plan. And that's the frightening thing, is that there are many people, thousands of people, we understand, who are homeless. But the issue of access is a real problem. Have we actually got a full picture of the extent of the damage, given that many areas have been cut off?
You will not get a full picture anytime soon. Many areas have been cut off, no water, no electricity, no network or signal connection. But most importantly, the roads infrastructure, as you will see behind me here in Nhlongwane. When you are talking about people being cut off, President Ramaphosa saying roads have been washed away, bridges have collapsed. Look at this. In isiZulu they say yonga pesheya, meaning if you are on the other side, you are on the other side, you can't cross. This busy road used to connect different sections here in KwaMashu, and right now people are not connected. No one can cross over this because it's been damaged. There's nothing you can do. To fix this will take months. And I can tell you that people here are frustrated because they've been disconnected, and you will only get the full picture about the extent and the magnitude of the damage and the impact of these floods once you collect all the information. And it will take time to do so because most areas are not accessible as we speak, and not all those who've been affected by this have been registered. Not everyone has submitted their information and details. Even the death toll that you are talking about from the Department of Cogta in KwaZulu-Natal, it could still rise because, as President Cyril Ramaphosa said, some people are still missing. He made an example about one family in Inanda that the authorities visited. 10 people from one family perished, and 4 of those, the bodies have been recovered. If I'm not mistaken, 6 still missing. So that is the nature and the extent of the damage here. As the sun sets, rains are still coming down in most parts of KwaMashu, into Zuma and Inanda, or should I say across eThekwini. So the devastation will be severe, and it will take time to get the extent of the damage. But each and every hour that passes by, each and every day that passes by, it's really painting a very bleak picture about those who would have perished during this tragedy.
And in fact, the statement that I was referring to says the inclement weather conditions expected to continue over the Easter weekend, with the ground already saturated. Any rain that takes place could cause more flooding and mudslides. So we could see more incidents in the coming days. Have you got a clear sense of the government's plan to look after people who perhaps don't have a place to stay tonight, first and foremost, and to start moving people who might be still living in dangerous areas?
The only plan that they have for now is to use community halls to accommodate those that have been displaced. With Pintuntuzuma, there is a school that is accommodating more than 60 families that have been displaced by these floods. And I guess that is the challenge really, to say, my sister unjani, ngiyakubona la ukuthi ungcolile uphuma odakeni isimo sibi impela sale. I'll get a word from this lady. Unjani usizi lwenu lungakanani la, ubuke ukhathazekile, nizolala lapha namhlanje?
Ngikhathazekile kakhulu ngoba asinayo indawo yokulala. Zonke lento kuswa umsomluko silale emgwaqweni. Asinako ukudla, asinayo indawo yokulala, asinikwa ngisho amatende ukuthi silale. Asinalutho, asinambhede, asinakudla. Imizi yethu iwile yonke, mhlawumbe kusele imizi ewu6.
Uhlelo likahulumeni niyalithemba kodwa uhulumeni obefikile la eholwa umengameli uRamaphosa noNdunankulu zikalala bathi bazonisiza, bayanihlelela indawo zokulala nokuhlala. Uthi since kwenzeke le disaster nelala emgwaqweni?
Thina ngesithembo kwamanje ngoba thina kule area akaze kufike umuntu. Akekho sekwafika wazosibheka, akaze kufike ngisho iphoyisa, akaze kufike ngisho ikhansela, ngisho amakomiti imbala, akekho sekwafika thina wazosibheka kule area. Siyazi ubona nje ngiqova udaka sizisiza thina somphakathi.
Mangathiwa manje usizo liyafika, yini into yokuqala oyidingayo wena njengilungu lomphakathi?
Indawo yokulala, ukudla ngoba asinawo amanzi, asinagesi, asinayo indawo yokulala, asinakho ukudla. Usuku lesithathu asinawo ngisho amanzi, asigezi, asidli, asinagesi, asilandawo, asinazo into zokugqoka.
Usunesikhathi esinganani uhlala la, wayibona inhlekelele yalolu hlobo? Ngiyabona imigwaqo la ibhidlikile, izindlu ibhidlikile, bekukubi impela, nisinde ngokulambisa.
Bekukumpela kuyaqala ukuthi kube kanje, bekuhleza amanzi engena kodwa bengazafike lapha phezulu ngoba imizi khona enyukelayo. Mina ngihlala phezulu, abeqala ukuthi azazafike phezulu kanje amanzi. Okokuqala kuze kuwe ngisho ama-bridge khona aqala ukuthi kube nezikhukhula ezikanje lana.
Okay. Thank you very much for time. Well, basically the lady there, Sally, is saying they need urgent help in terms of accommodation and shelter. Please allow me to ask hardworking Bonga Mkhize to unmount this camera so that we will just show you again the extent of the devastation. You will have to bear with us for the shaky shots as we will be taking, just moving around here so that we can show you once again the devastation here. Look at that. You can tell that all those houses at some point were underwater, and you can see the devastation and how long it will take to clean up and the mop-up operations. And all those houses were occupied by the local residents who are telling me that they are sleeping on the streets for now because they do not have anywhere to go. There is no water, there is no electricity, no infrastructure. Their livelihoods have been destroyed. They are calling on the government to do more to try and assist them. Let's take a listen to what President Ramaphosa said about the help that will be coming to KwaZulu-Natal.
We still need to do proper assessment of what the actual damage is, and we are going to lay out professionals, engineers, to look at exactly what the extent of the damage is, and we will also look at the cost that it is going to take. But I have said we are going to spare nothing. We are going to make sure that we do everything that is required to deal with this disaster. And the economic part of it is another issue that we have to address. The road that takes almost 1,300 trucks a day to the harbor has also been damaged, so we've got to find alternative roads as we embark on the process of repairing that. So we are dealing with a calamity of enormous proportions here. But our government is getting into gear. The Defense Force is also going to be here. We're going to roll out as much support and assistance to our people as we possibly can.
And Sipa, we've heard Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma last night telling you that this is definitely going to be declared a disaster area. The president saying the same thing. But this has to be gazetted. I understand there's a process. Do you have any idea of the time frame for that and how quickly the money that comes with will be released?
Indeed, I guess that is the most important thing right now, is to get that urgent help coming from government. I'm asking the lady to come close here. There is a lady. Unjani ma ngiyakuzwa uyakhononda ngicela uze ngala nje kancane khona sizoxoxa kahle sali. Yes, it has to be gazetted. Ma ngiyabonga ngesikhathi sakho ngiyakuzwa uyakhononda njengezakhamuzi yini eniphethe kabuzwakala ukhononda ngokuthi ukudlani nakho ma ungaphenduka nje ujike ubheke ngala ubuke lensizwe ngala yini inkinga yeni njengamanje eniyidinga kakhulu njengosizo?
Sidinga usizo, asinazi izindlu sidilikile nansi nje indlu yami lapha idilikile iwile. Anginayo indawo yokuhlala kugcwele udaka phansi ngisho ngithi ngiyaphendla endlini. Anginayi ukuthi ngingakhona ukuhlala, ingubo anginazo. Lezi ngubo nje lokhu ngigqokiswe lentuzuma le kade ngiyofuna ukukhosela khona. Silale lapha kuThangi eShelton. Ihall sinalo ukhiye bekuliwa lapha yana ukhona ukhi ungatholakala ehall. Namhlanje semese engithi asikhona ukuwela lenhlungwane siye lapha ehall. Bekufuze bona bazamele itransport ukuthi sise hall ke siyokhona ukulala ke ekulist izolo. So bangakhona ukusilokhuza. Namhlanje uthi asihambe siyobhalisa ehall. Siba ungena thina sisuka la eSphola njengoba ithina esidilikelwe la. Sahamba semesifika baqoqa konke ukudlo bekukhona lapha izinkwa nolokhuzo noma drink kwafakwe office kwathiwa ngine office kwakhi ngoba sekungena iSphola. Thina abantu bese Siphola siyadinga mekufanele sovote enhlungwane. Kodwa mase kufuze ukuthi basinakekele kwezintweni eziningi. Ayikho thina into esithola asisizakele nje kumanje. Asinalutho asigezile, asinawo amanzi njengoba nibona nje ufuna sogeza lapha enhlungwane futhi asinawo amanzi, asinawo ugesi.
Bebeba ngaka abantu bebesekhaya ngesikhathi kudeleka indlu basindile bonke.
Thina sisindile sonke ekhaya, angeke ngiqamba mangasindile besu4 ebesisendlini kodwa sisindile because siphumile sikwazile ukuphuma sama lemgwaqweni sabuka ke sekudilika.
Okay. Siyabonga kakhulu. Well, Bongamkhize will show you here women with children. You can see that people are stranded really. I've spotted a number of women with children here. They are stranded. They do not have anywhere to go. They say they are waiting for government to provide the much needed help and relief. But yes, the province of KwaZulu-Natal will be declared a disaster area. The president has confirmed that he will be concurring with the decision and the resolution of the Provincial Executive Council in the province to ask that it be declared a disaster area so that at least emergency funds from the National Treasury will be accessed and those funds will be able to rebuild the damaged infrastructure and assist the province whose economy has been devastated by this. But there is nothing and there is no way you can count the loss in terms of human life for now because more and more reports are emerging about people who have lost their lives.
Absolutely tragic. 259 now confirmed dead, but as you say, Sipa, very sadly it looks like it will continue to rise, and concerns for those people sleeping outside tonight because the rain has started again. It's just a drizzle, but of course in that warning we saw there's worry because the ground is still saturated and very unstable.